Om Shuklam Varadaram Vishnu Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarva Vigno Prashantaye Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we're going to look at the 11th chapter, which is called as Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. So in the previous chapter, Sri Krishna concluded by saying that Vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekam shena sthito jagat. So this jagat itself is I have created, or is a manifest. I abide in this whole universe, in the jagat, which is nothing but one amsha of mine, one pada in fact. Padosya vishwa bhutani tripadasya amritam divi. So all that we see, and we also know there is so much that we don't see. It is the universe itself is infinite. But whatever it is that we experience is just but a small aspect of Bhagwan's Rupa. So this is how he concluded the previous chapter. So of course this gets Arjuna to start thinking. So what exactly is the nature of Bhagavan? So he has heard, perhaps he has heard also that Bhagavan is infinite. Sri Krishna is not an ordinary person. It is well known. In fact, Yashoda had seen some Vishwam, yeah. Even when he was a baby, she saw the whole universe in his mouth. Perhaps he remembers that. And so he says he would like to see something. If that is true, Sri Krishna standing in front of him now, admitting to that. So this might be the chance for me to find out. So for which he asks, okay, he wants to see this form of Vishnu, which is the infinite form. So 3. I'll mention the numbers of the verses and then we'll read them. Number 3. Arjuna uvacha evametad yatha tattvam atmanam parameshwaram drishtumichhami te rupam Aishwaram Purushottama. So, etad yatha kathayasi. This rupam, this form that you have just mentioned, you have talked about you, Bhagavan. So, both in a twofold way. So, it is nirgunam and both sagunam. So, that from its own standpoint, Nirupadikam, it is Swarupam of Bhagavan. But at the same time, so I experience a universe that is manifest to me, that is available to me. That is also nothing but Bhagavan itself. So like this you have pointed out before. He says, and this is nothing but you. This is your nature. So he says, Te Aishwaram Rupam Drishtum Ichhami. So I have this desire to see this form of yours, which is Aishwaram. Aishwaram is that which is a manifestation of Ishvara. Ishvarasya idam is Aishwaram. So this Rupam, which is an expression of the Lord, I would like to see. I have this particular desire. 4. Manyase yadi tat shakyam maya drishtumiti prabho yogeshwarattato me tvam darshayatmanam avyayam. So now he wants to see this particular Rupam. So he asks, look at how he asks. So this is, so it tells something. So yadi tat maya drishtum shakyate iti manyase. So if you think that this is something that I am, so it is possible for me to see. This is, I have the adhikar. So please, if you think that I have the capacity to see this Rupam, you please show it to me. So this is not it's a very different attitude to see Bhagavan. So for example, he's not your good old skeptic. The skeptic who, suppose Bhagavan says, I am manifested. So then this whole Jagat is nothing but my manifestation. Suppose he tells this to one of the guys. So what will be the response? Oh, really speaking? So show me. Show me this Rupam of yours. Prove it to me. So let me have this kind of a thing. But this is not, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't that way. With that attitude, one cannot see, recognize Bhagavan. So there is a certain attitude. There's an attitude of humility. Because one has to, it's not just see, in life we do this all the time. We always leave it up to the others to prove themselves to us. We don't recognize that we play a part in this. I have to have a capacity also to recognize. It's not always on the other person, to show, to prove. Show me that you love me. Hey. So are you able to recognize when somebody loves you? So there is the other half of the equation always there. So here it is not, hey Bhagavan, you are the Lord. So show me, prove to me that you are manifestation. This whole world is your manifestation. No. He says, hey Bhagavan, if you think that I have the capacity to see you, to recognize you, to understand you, then he says, if Prabhu, so that is Sambuddhi, he addresses him, Yogeshwara. So, me tvam darshaya atmanam. So please show me this Rupam of yours, and then too, because you are Yogeshwara. So you are the Lord. It is said that so the normally you can't see some things, but then if you have some capacity to see what others don't see, or what most persons don't see, that is some kind of a yoga shakti. So you are Yogeshwara. You're the one who is the Lord of all the yogis. You're the most exalted. So if at all it's possible for me to see it, it will only be because of your anugraham. It says, so this avyayam rupam, this form, rupam, which is really an infinite form. Even the manifest is infinite. So the universe itself doesn't seem to be limited. Bhagavan is limitless, swarupam wise, but even manifest, it doesn't become limited. Perhaps limited by time and space, but not even by space. Even there, it is infinite. So, for which, so Sri Krishna, what does he do? He says it's true, it is not possible. Okay, so number 8. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Natu Mam Shakyase Drishtum Anenaiva Swachakshusha Divyam Dadami Te Chakshuhu Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. So he says, Natu Mam Drishtum Shakyase Anena Eva Swachakshusha. He says, it is not possible for you to see me in this particular form, the infinite form, by these eyes of yours, naturally, Because, so the Vishwarup, Vishwarupam, it's also important to recognize. We think Vishwarupam, perhaps Arjuna thought also Vishwarupam is, so another type of a Rupam, another type of a Rupam. So there are so many forms that I see. So nowhere I see Bhagavan. Perhaps Bhagavan's form is something which is very unique, very different. It is a huge form, very, very huge, all encompassing, infinite. So it is again, you see, like your photographs we see. So we have pictures of Vishwarupa. We don't have any mandir for Vishwarupa. So there's no real Vishwa because Vishwarupam is not another Rupam, really speaking. Vishwarupam means Vishwam. Vishwam eva Rupam. It is in fact the Vishwam itself is the Rupam. It is not there is a Vishwarupam. There are so many Rupam. There is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwaraha. Like that, there is another Vishwarupam, which is bigger than all of them. No. It is Vishwam is the one which is the Rupam for Bhagavan. So that means, what does that Vishwam include? How can I see Vishwarupam? Because I am part of the Vishwam. I am included in that. Since I am included in that, all I can see is something which I can objectify. I cannot objectify myself. So how am I going to see something which includes me in that form? It's not possible. The eyes are not designed for that. So he says, for with your own eyes that you have, you are not able to, you will not be able to see me in this particular form. Therefore, so what should I do? What am I doing? Divyam dadami te chakshu. I'm going to give you this capacity to see by the eyes, which is called as Divya Chakshu. Means Divya Chakshu is not really another kind of a Chakshu, in the sense the eyes with which you can recognize. That is called Divya Chakshu because it is Divyam. It is so something out of this world. So it's a capacity to see, to recognize, which is out of this world, which is Divyam. This I'm going to give you this capacity. And so Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram. You see now what? May Yogam. May Aishwaram Yogam. See what is my form now. This is what you asked for it. You asked for it, now you're going to get it. That's the idea. Okay. 9. Sanjaya Upacha. So now here, so what happens now is something which is narrated by Sanjaya. Yeah. So this is don't forget this whole Gita is a narration by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra about what is happening in the battlefield. So now Sanjaya makes an editorial comment like so he says Eva Muktva Tato Rajan Mahayogeshwaro Harihi Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Srupamaishwaram. So Evam Uktva Tataha Rajan Mahayogeshwaraha Harihi Parthaya Darshayamasa Kim Paramam Rupam Aishwaram. So Tataha. Next thereafter, what happened? He says, having said this, Eva Mukva. So Harihi. Harihi, the Lord, the one. Hari means Harati Papani, the one who so or Harati Samsaram, the one who removes the papas, the one who removes the samsara is called as Hari. That's the word meaning. So he says Harihi, who is Mahayogeshwara, who's great, who's the most exalted, the Lord of all the yogis who have all the capacity to see things which other people don't see. He says Parthaya Darshayamasa. He showed to Arjuna. Arjuna, what did he show? So Paramam Rupam Aishwaram. This Rupam, this form, which is an expression of Ishvara. This form which is infinite, Paramam. Here Paramam is not that which transcends, because he's showing him a form. It is that which is infinite, that which is beyond any boundaries, which is limitless, that which is a manifestation of the Lord. And so then what happened then? When he shows this form. So Arjuna goes on to describe the form. Aneka Vaktra Nayanam. 10. Number 10. Aneka Vaktra Nayanam. Anekadbhuta Darshanam. Aneka Divyabharanam. Divyanekodyatāyudham. And what is this form, particular form? It says Aneka Vaktra Nayanam. Aneka Vaktra. So then, so the one which has Aneka, Anekam is limitless, really speaking. Yeah. Ekam is one. Anekam is so not two. Anekam is that which is countless. So the form which had countless Vaktra. Vaktram is so a face or a mouth. Both are called Vaktram. So either a form which had limitless, infinite number of faces or mouths. He says Nayanam, an infinite number of eyes. So Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. So that is the Roop Vishwarupam, really speaking. In Purusha Suktam, he says. So the one who has says Sahasram is 1,000, but really speaking, the word 1,000 means so thousands, limitless, limitless eyes, limitless heads, limitless face, limitless everything. He says hands, legs, etc. Anekadbhuta darshanam. So aneka form that all infinite forms are there. So which is all adbhutam, which is cause wonderment in a person. Those kinds of forms, all that you can imagine, all that you cannot imagine, all these forms he sees in this rupam. Aneka divyabharanam. He says anekam abharanani. So ornaments, wearing the forms wearing aneka, or not ordinary ornaments, all divyam, all divine, or we all go for little tiny little plastic things and wooden things just because they are colorful. So here it is anekam, all heavenly ornaments which you can't even see. You know, it's interesting. I always remember. So when you see and they do arati to Venkatachalapati here, you should see. So with all these multiple lamps, and then when he goes this way and that way, you should see all those things shiny. This fellow must be totally dazzled by all the ornaments he sees. Divya Aneka Udyatayudham. Anekam. Again, Udyat Ayudha. Ayudhas are the weapons. So it is weapons which are so Udyudam is that which is ready to be used. Yeah. Not weapons which are not the swords in the scabbards. The swords which are out there. All the guns are so clicked, to be the hammer is open, cocked, so ready to go. The idea here is that so Bhagwan's weapons are not something which you fumble with. Bhagwan, Bhagwan's weapons always represent. So for removal of Shatru, inimical, anything that is inimical to me. So removal of enemies. So then it requires a weapon. So it's not a physical weapon necessarily. So even mentally, you need a weapon. You need to be armed. I need to be even if under emotional states. We have a lot of states of mind which are inimical to us. How do I deal with them? Well, I need to have weapons. I need to have strategy. I need to be well armed within myself to be able to deal with it. So it's representative of the capacities that deal with it always has to be ready. Any weapon has to be ready. A good warrior always has the weapons ready. So that's why you see for all our deities, they all carry weapons, and they are not weapons which are sheathed. They are weapons which are ready for use. So thus he says Anekam, weapons which are all divyam, again, not ordinary but divine weapons. Divyamalyambaradharam Divyagandhanulepanam Sarvascharyamayam Devam Anantam Vishvatomukham. What else? He says Divya Malyam Baradharam, the one who has Divya Malas. So ornaments, no doubt, but also all beautiful divine garlands, all kinds of malas, ratna malas, pushpa malas, garlands made of flowers, made of gems, etc. Ambaradharam, so vastram. This is so again divine, wearing divine attire. Divya gandhanu lepanam. What's the use of wearing all these wonderful clothes? So if you are, if if you are, sweating too much and stinking, no, he says also he's so he has this divya gandha anulepana, the one who fragrance, who also wears things which are divine fragrance. Anulepanam is like perfumes, perfume like not ordinary. The perfumes that we have, we are all excited about perfumes. Our perfumes are not divyam. They are already things which are here, which smell good. So which are all just put together differently. Different mixtures of flowers, etc., with which they make perfume. These perfumes are smells, fragrances which you never smelled before. Arjuna. That's why he says all divyam. Divyam in the sense that which we don't know. That's why we say anything which is beyond our experience, we say this is heavenly. Don't we say that? So heavenly, whether it's an experience or whether it is that some good food. So they say, oh, this is your lunch was heavenly today, like that. It's all divyam. Sarvascharyamayam devam anantam vishvatomukam. The one that is Deva means that which is effulgent, the form which is the most effulgent, which causes wonder in him, in everybody, in fact. And Vishvatomukham, the one that has all forms. So Vishvatomukham is the one whose forms is all different types of forms. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapadutthita Yadi Bhasadrishi Yatsa Syat Vasastasya Mahatmanaha. So Divi means in the sky. Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapadutthita. So suppose Sahasra Surya, thousand suns arise at the same time. Imagine if in the sky 1,000 suns suddenly rise up, rise in the morning. What happens? Yadi bha sadrishi sasya bhasaha tasya mahatma. Then the effulgence, he talks about how effulgent this form is, and then he thinks of a metaphor. So Sanjay, because he's to describe to Dhritarashtra, who cannot, who's blind, don't forget. So he says the effulgence of this form was such that if there's a possibility, if thousand suns were to arise at the same time, what their effulgence would be, what their light would be, brightness would be. Such was the brightness of this form. And even in fact, it is more than that, because he says if this is possible, that means the effulgence is a form, it's of a kind that is impossible to visualize. Not only that, then he reports further. So Arjuna now responds to this. This is the form that he saw. And then what happened? What was his reaction? So Arjuna reacts with varieties of emotions when he sees this particular form. And he says things. Arjuna Uvacha, number 15. So here what happens? So here so then a chandas. So this is something in Gita. There are two meters that are used. One is called as Trishtup and one is called as Anushtup. Anushtup is the meter what we have been so chanting. That has 8 syllables in each quarter. There are 4 quarters. Trishtup is a meter which has 11 syllables in each quarter, and there are 4 quarters. So there is something special happening where we tend to kind of doze off, become inattentive. So suddenly something happens, which is important. The attention has to be drawn, and when that had to be done, so Vyasa changes the one way to do it. Not like a speaker will change the tone of their voice, etc., or they will say, "Please listen," please listen. So whatever you do, here, so Vyasa, he changes the meter so that our attention suddenly the attention change is attention is brought to focus. So this meter is called as Trishtup. So he reacts first by wonderment. Pashyami devan tava deva dehe sarvan sata bhuta vishesha sanghan brahmanamisham kamalasanastham ऋषींश्च सर्वान् उरगांश्च दिव्यान्. So Pashyami, wow, look at this. This is what I'm seeing. He says, Devan, Sarvan Devan. I see all the gods, all the devas. I see here in this particular form. Tava Deva Dehe, He Deva, O Deva, O Lord, O Bhagavan, O Devata, O Lord. So, O effulgent form, he says. What is he going to say? He has to say Deva only because all the forms are there. He cannot say Krishna, Hey Krishna or Vishnu. So he says, Hey Deva, Tava Dehe, Mam, Aham Pashyami. What? In your form, Tava Dehe, in your body, I see all the Devas. He says. Tatha Bhuta Vishesha Sanghan. Not only that, all the devas, I see all the bhutas. So Bhuta Sanghas means the collection. All the beings, starting from Brahmaji onwards, down to the other living forms, all the life forms, he says, all the living beings. Brahmanamisham. Brahmanam is Brahmaji. So Chaturmukha Brahma. So starting from Brahmaji, Kamalasanastham Brahmanam. So Brahmaji who's seated in Kamalam. Kamalam here represents Brahmaloka. So Kamalam stands for Prithvi. Kamalasanam is the explanation. Okay, Kamalasanam is so Meru. So Meru at the North Pole, above the North Pole is Meru. The peak of the Meru is this Kamalasana, which represents Brahmaloka. So because Brahmaji is seated in Brahmaloka. So I see Brahmaji seated in Brahmaloka, he says. Not only that, all the devas, all the devatas I see, all the rishis, I see, all the uragas. Uragas are uragas are serpents. There are two types of serpents that are described: uragas and nagas. In the Puranas, these are talked about. So nagas are hooded serpents are called nagas. So like cobra, etc. So naga, Vasu, our Ananta is a naga. So like that, he said they all some of them live in Swargaloka. So like Ananta and Sesha, or most of them live in the Patala Loka also. So all these nagas. There's a Sapta Nagas are talked about in the Puranas. In the temple, sometimes when you go, they say there is a Sannidhi, for Nagas. You see some of the temples, especially Kerala temples, if you go, always you will find. So they invoke these Sapta Nagas in the you see the statues. Anyway, so they're talked about in the Puranas. All this I see, Divyan, okay, all heavenly beings. Then 16. अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वा सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपम् आन्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादीन् पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप. So aneka bahu dara vaktra netram again. The form, what am I seeing? Aneka bahu, infinite number of arms, infinite number of. So udaram is a torso, the trunk. Aneka trunks, vaktram again, face, eyes, etc. Tvam sarvataha pashyami. On all sides, all directions I see this. Not just in front of me. Sarvataha means in front, in back, this left side, right side, above, below, all over I am seeing. It's not just one form in front of me, which is horizontal with all, like you see in our photos, like you see, so laterally going. But this is, just imagine, there's faces up, and really speaking, there's no direction. There is no direction. It's like being in space. When you're in space and you're floating around in space, there is no front, back, up, down, left, right. That is sarvato. That exactly is what is in all directions. So he sees all over the place. He sees these things. Ananta Rupam, the form which has an endless. There is no limit to this. Na antam, na madhyam, na punaha tava adi. There is no adi, no madhyama, no antam. There is no beginning. There is no end. There is no middle. In fact, if you can't see the beginning, if you can't see the end, how can you identify the middle? It's interesting. So there is this story about Vasuki, and when the churning of the milk has to go on. So this Vasu, the rope, nothing holds it, the thing, whatever they try to use breaks. So then finally they decide you need a long, long rope in order to churn the mountain. And the Anantam, this long Vasuki, is sitting in Patala Loka. He has to be brought. That he's the only one that can serve that particular purpose. So they go to bring him. If Garuda is sent naturally, so Garuda is the right person to bring him, and so he goes there and he picks up. So he picks him up by the head. He has to. So he says, "Can you please come? This has to be done." He says, "I cannot come. I am just sitting here. If you need me there, you have to carry me." He's like a python. So Ajagara, he doesn't move around. He just sits in one place. So he says, Garuda, you have to take me there. Then only. So he picks him up from his head, and then flies up. He flies up, and so you know how they carry the snakes. So nothing happens. The end doesn't come off the patala. the tail. He's not able to, so he's not able to get him out. So then he decides to pick him up from the center. So sometimes they'll catch them from the middle. What middle? What he thinks is the middle. He picks that up and goes up. Again, the two ends, front end, and he's not able to see. So he goes back and says this, I don't think it's possible to get him to come here. Then, so according to the story, so Shiva, Lord Shiva then, so puts his, puts his hand in the Patala Loka. And then what happens? Then Vasuki. So he becomes small. He becomes small, and the Bhagwan's hand. So he wraps himself around his hand and becomes his bracelet. And then so Lord Shiva brings him. Then he again assumes his form, and then they do the milk thing. So that is why it's called Ananta. So this that which has no beginning or end. So He Vishveshwara, He Vishvarupa, O Lord. So who's the Lord of the whole universe, whose form itself is nothing but the universe. 70. Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrinam Cha Tejo Rashim Sarvato Deeptamantam Pashyami Tvam Durniriksham Samantat Deeptanalarka Dyutima Prameyam Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrinam Cha Tejo Rashim Sarvato Deeptimantam Pashyami Tvam Durnirikshyam Samantat Deeptanala Arka Dyutim Apramayam. This is Kiritinam. Again, infinite number of Kiritis are crowns, infinite gadas, the gada, chakra, etc. So all of them, the Sarvato Deeptimantam Tejo Rashim. So like the rays which are so all over, bright and spread all over. I see, this is what I'm seeing. Pashyami Tvam Durnirikshyam. Because so difficult to see. Anyway, I'm seeing all these forms, but it's not easy for me to see them. Why? Because of the brightness. This is Samantad. On all sides, it is like even what? Aprameya, immeasurable brightness, like even the light, Deeptam Anala Arkam. So like the sunlight, like the light from the sun and the fire, etc., which is immeasurable. So I'm even difficult for me to see all this. And then the more he sees, then the immenseness of it gets to him finally. He does not just wonder. In between, it is all wonderful. He's shocked. He's in awe. And then after the awe comes the fear. We'll strike awe and fear. Remember they were saying. So first is awe, then there is fear. Rupam Mahat 23. Okay. Rupam Mahatte Bahuvakra Netram Mahabaho Bahubahu Rupadam Bahudaram Bahudam Strakaralam Drishtva Loka Pravyatitastathaham. So Rupam Mahatte Bahuvaktra Netram Mahabahu Bahubahu Urupadam. He says, Te Mahat Rupam. You're this huge, immense form of yours, which is made up of what? Bahuvaktra Netram. A form which is made up of infinite faces, infinite eyes, infinite mouths. Hey Mahabaho, Bahu, 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 Uru and Padam. So Bahu is the arms, Uru is thighs, Padam is feet. So etc. The lower extremity is also infinite. Then Bahudaram, infinite trunks. And more than that, I see Bahu Damshra Karal. These your teeth, your the big teeth with open mouth. It's not just teeth, You can have many teeth, but they can be smiling. If you're smiling, then it is not a problem. But these are not fine smiling. These are teeth which are tusks like huge teeth I see in a mouth that is open, gaping mouth. Drishtva. Karalam is gaping or fearful. Lokaha drishtva pravyatitaha. And all the people also, I see other people there also. And all the people seem to be frightened. The people that I see in you, then they seem to be also looking at you perhaps, but they all look frightened. He says, Praninaha pravyatitaha bhayena. They are fearful, tatha aham. And I am also feeling scared, in fact, to look at all these things. Navasprisham deeptam anekavarnam Vyattananam deepta vishala netram Drishtva hitvam pravyatitantaratma Dhritim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu. Navaha sprisham deeptam aneka varnam. So this form which touches the sky, the top of it seems to be in the sky. This is, don't forget, we don't know where the sky ends. Okay, so this is all the way up there. Aneka varnam, that which cannot be described. So indescribable. It says Vyattananam, with mouths that is open. With a mouth that is open. Deepta Vishala Netram. It says with eyes which are Deeptam. Deeptam means so, which red eyes, in the sense. So flaming eyes, Rakta Netram. So now he's seeing some details, some details which are scary details. So with all this, so with the bloodshot eyes, with the open mouth, etc. Drishtva hi tvam pravyatita antaratma. My manaha, my mind becomes very fearful also. Dhritim na vindami. Dhritihi is dhairyam. I'm losing my composure. Bhagavad Darshanam. This is Bhagavad Darshanam. We all want Bhagavan's Darshanam. You don't know what you're going to get. So he sees this form. He says, I am losing my dhairyam. I'm losing my composure, my balance. Shamam na vindami. I don't feel any sense of shamaha. So satisfaction. I feel no satisfaction. Manas tushtim. Oh Lord, so I wanted to see your form. I'm seeing your form now. I see no satisfaction in me. I'm losing my composure. I'm becoming fearful, especially looking at your face. Really looking at your face and your eyes. Damshra karalani chate mukhani drishtva kala nalasannibhani दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास. It's interesting. So fear, this kind of, when you're fearful, so he again gets back to his Damshra Karalani. Damshra, the teeth. The teeth and the mouth are something he fixates on. What happens? When you get scared of something, then you fixate on that. The mind fixates on it. Or what I'm afraid of. Then I start thinking repeatedly of that thing which I'm afraid of. Anything trauma is like that. Stress is like that. So post-stress disorder, PTSD, is exactly like that. It is called, so you fixation. You get fixated on something that frightens you, that you're anxious about, that you have stress, you've been traumatized by. It's all called repetition compulsion. So anyway, for the psychologist. So he also fixates on this. He says, Damshra karalani chate mukhani drishtva. I am having seen all this, seeing all this, your mouth, teeth, etc. He says, which are kalanala sannibhani, which are like pralaya kala. This reminds me of the pralayam. Pralayam means so the apocalypse, the end of the whole universe. It looks like it's something like that I am seeing. Says Dishona Jane. I do not know Disha. I do not know directions. Means I am lost. Yeah, I don't like I'm in space. I feel like I'm in space. I don't know where to place myself. Imagine that. And that's why we are afraid of the dark. One of the reasons, because Dishona Jane. In the dark I don't know. So which is which direction? In the daytime, in the light, I can place myself because I see objects around me. In the night, in the dark, I don't see anything around me. So I do not know where to place myself in this big universe. And therefore, there is no direction. Disha is a very frightening experience. So he says he gets this frightening experience. Nalabhecha Sharma. Neither that, at least, when you lose direction, like in deep sleep, also we lose direction, right? Dishona Jane. But at least there is Sukham. You feel some joy is there. Here's Sukham also he doesn't get. Even after seeing the Lord, neither am I feeling happy, neither am I knowing where, but losing my bearing. He says, Prasidha Devesha Jagannivasa. You please Prasidha, Prasanno Bhava. You don't get mad at me. Probably. Don't he feels you. You just compose, be calm, at least with reference to me, he says. आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्र रूपो. Oh, sorry, 31. Okay, so what happens? So yeah, so he sees this. Not only that, so he sees all this, but in this open mouth, then the next few verses, he starts seeing. So all the people are heading towards this. So the mouth is everybody gets swallowed. Yeah, this is Kala Rupam. So this is the mouth is the form of Kala, time. So all the people who are there, he sees also his own people. He sees so Kurukshetra there. He sees the battlefield. He sees the war that is going on. He sees that not started yet, not started yet. He sees the Kauravas, Pandavas, including himself. They're all there in this Vishwarupam. And all these people, Bhishma, Drona, he says, all the Dhartarashtraha, the Kauravas, Karna, even the warriors that are on their side, he says, all of them are entering into this mouth of Vishwarupa. And not just entering, but they are being swallowed up, they are being crushed, they are being eaten up. It's all very scary to him. So he says, 31. आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्र रूपः नमोऽस्तु ते देव वर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यम् nahi prajanami tava pravrittim. Yeah. So he thought he was so asking for something which was going to be very, very unique, but he ends up being very confused. He says, Akhya he may ko bhava anugra rupaha. This ugra rupaha. Please tell me, explain to me, what is this form of yours? Bhagavan's form. So is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? He says, Namostu te devavara prasida. Namostu te. Humbly he asked me. Now he's scared also. He doesn't know what's going to happen now. So even though, so I look upon the Lord in a positive way. We are all comfortable with the form of the Lord, which is compassionate, which is kind, which is giving, etc., that we visualize. But the other things, are also there in the world. And that is all frightening to us. So he says, I'm very confused. You please tell me, what is it that you are? Are you really both of them? Are you this or are you that, etc.? Devi forms are, some of them are so compassionate, some of them are very fearful. Aghoras, there is so now Durga forms, etc. So it is all very confusing sometimes. He says he humbly asks him, I submit humbly, I'm requesting you, please. He says, Hey, Prasida Shanto Bhava. Don't respond in a angry manner to me. I see all these fellows being sucked into your mouth like a big vacuum cleaner. And Vijnatum Ichhami Bhavantam. He says, I want to know, I would like to know the true Swarupa. Bhavantam Adyam Nahi Prajanami Tava Pravrittim. Your pravritti, your things that I don't understand. What is it that you're doing? You're trying to accomplish or you're accomplishing. And this is all out of my scope. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi Lokakshayakrit Pravriddhatma Kalosmi Lokakshayakrit Praviddha Lokan Samahartumiha Pravrittaha. I typed it wrong. Kritepi tvana bhavishanti sarve yeva stita pratyanikeshu yodhaha. So, see, he says, so he sees all this, people now getting sucked into this in Kala, into this time. So Bhagavan starts at that point by telling him, Kalosmi lokak shayakit krit pravrittaha lokan samahartum hi pravrittaha kaham kalaha. He says, tava pravritti na jana. He says, I don't know what are you trying to accomplish here? He says, when he sees all these people, going into him. So he says, I am in the form of Kalaha here now. He says, right now, what you're seeing is you're seeing my Rupam, which is in the form of time. The form of time. And what is this? He says, Lokak Shayakrit. Time which destroys Kshayam, which causes a destruction for the loka, for the worlds. Because the world is not just creation, but also destruction. In fact, sometimes we think creation occurred once upon a time, long, long ago. depending on who you are, you know. So according to some, it is few thousand years back. According to others, it is many thousand years back. According to others, it goes back and back, whatever it is. So we think so long time back. So the Srishti, everything was born, and some long time later on, everything is going to be destroyed. It's not quite that. Perhaps on one level it is like that, but on another level, so there is constantly there is birth. You know, after all, what is creation for you and me? Creation for you and me is when we start experiencing this world, right? We are born in this world when we experience in this world. So, am I born in this world, or is the world born to me? You know, both ways. The world is available to me, is my birth. The world, this whole my experience is no longer available to me, is my layam or pralayam. You can look at it that way also. So he says this whole the manifest Srishti and Laya is really happening every day, every moment there is a birth, every moment there is death, you know, every day. So every day they say, so 350,000 people are born in this world. And every day, so some 150,000 is just human beings. That, that. Every second, in other words, every second, by the time you say, I say this two words, then there are so four points some people are born and two people have died. This is every second. This is going, and now just add to this all the jantus, add to that all the other beings, all the critters, all the bugs, all the viruses and bacteria and trees and plants, etc. When you look at all this, then kalaha is like that. So it is every moment there are things manifesting, every moment there are things going. So he says what you're seeing now is nothing but this kalaha. And what is this? Aham kalaha asmi. I am. So Kriya Shakti. This is Bhagwan's what is called as Kriya Shakti. So that manifest power by which things happen. He says, Lokakshayakrit. So this is my activity. The worlds are born and the worlds are gone. He says, Lokan samahartumiha pravrittaha. I am manifest here right now. So to take back these things, you know. So samahartam is the layam, that which resolves back into me. All these people are, their time is over, in fact, he says. So in fact, we saw no. So Bhishma, Drona, etc. They're all dying off. He sees this in this particular form. So he says their time has ended. So I am Kalaha in this form. Everything is over. In fact, he says Kritepi Twa na bhavishyanti sarve. Kritepi means without you. Ritepi. Vina. Tvam vina. Even without you, their time is over. He says, even without you, their time has come to an end. Remember the context here now. This is a battlefield. Arjuna was worried that all he was going to kill all these people. So he kind of tells them, you know, he sees them dying also. So he says, this is their time has come. With you or without you, they are their time is over, he says. Bhavishyanti. So Bhishma, Drona, Karnadi, etc. Ye avasthitaha pratyanikeshu yodhaha. So those people, all of these who are standing here, Yodha means no Yuddham, in the battlefield. So all the warriors who are there in their adversarial positions, their time has come. They are going to go in spite of you. In spite of you. This is the nature of Kala. So Arjuna Uvacha 38. So Vita Vitaha. So here being continued, being fearful, he says, Tvamadi Deva Purusha Puranaha Tvamasya Vishvasya Param Nidhanam Vetasi Vedyam cha Param cha Dhama Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa So Tvam Adi Devaha Purushaha Puranaha Tvam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam Veta Asi Vedyam cha Param cha Dhama Tvaya Tatam Vishwa Ananta Rupa. So he says some prashamsa, some praise, descriptive. He says, having heard him say this, then he says, Hey Vishwa, Hey Ananta Rupa, O Lord, the one whose form is an infinite form. He says, Svam Adi Devaha. You are the Adi Deva, means there is no Deva before you. You are the one, the first, the Lord, the one who was the first. Purushaha. Purushaha is that which is in the form of Atma. It's called Purusha. Purishayanath. The one who abides in the Puri. Puri is the Deha. So Atma is called as Purushaha. Who's Puranaha? Who goes back into time. Tvam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam. Asya Vishwasya. Oh Lord, you are the Param Nidhanam. Means you are the Layasthanam. You are the place where everything resolves in the end. You are the one from whom everything has come. You are the one in whom everything resolves at the end. Vedyam cha Veta asi cha Param Dhama. So you are the Vedyam. You are the one that is to be known. You are the knower and you are the known. In other words, you are that which everybody seeks. Plus, you know everything. You are the know. You are the Sarvajna. You are the one who Sarvajnaha. You are Sarva Shaktiman. And at the same time, you are the one who everyone seeks to know. Tvaya Tadam Vishwam Ananta. Ananta Vishwam is for you. You are the one who pervades this whole universe. Vayuryamognivvarunah Shashankaha Prajapatisvam Prapitamahascha Namo Namastestu Sahasrakritvaha Punah Punascha Bhuyopi Namo Namaste Vayuhu Yamaha Agnihi Varunaha Shashankaha is Chandrama, etc. You are all these devas. Okay. All the devas are nothing but a expression of Bhagavan. The infinite Lord looked at through different aspects, through different functionings, are all the devas. He says all the devas are nothing but you alone. Prajapati Tvam. Not only the Devas, but all the Prajapatis. So there are Prajapatis are those, so that born of the Brahmaji. So from Brahmaji arise the Prajapatis, from whom all the Praja is born, all the beings are born. Kashyapadi are considered Prajapatis, Rishis. Prapitamaha. So you are Prapitamaha. You are the grandfather. Means Brahma, because Brahmaji is everybody's father. You are his father also. Remember? So in the Native American tradition, so Bhagavan is looked upon as the grandfather, the grandfather. This is so Pitamaha. You are the Prapitamaha. You are the great grand. Some religions look upon Bhagavan as father. Some look upon him as grandfather. Some look upon him as great grand. Whatever it is, the idea is he is the Adi. He is the one. So the first one. Namo Namaste Sahasra Kritva. This is salutation. Thousand salutations to you. He says. Punascha Bhuyopi Namo Namaste. So he does thousand. What do you do? How many namaskaras do you do? Really speaking, when you are, so he is so overwhelmed and so so much in awe that one namaskaram is not enough. So he says, so Bhagavan, so sahasra pranamam to you. Not that thousand times. When we also say that sometimes. So you say, so koti namaskar. So that means not that koti times he does namaskara. It's very difficult to do, believe me. So there is sometimes they do this. So I've seen this. So they will recite. So in some pujas, this is part of the Sashtanga Namaskara. So generally Sashtanga, one time you do. So sometimes they will do more than once you do. But then here they recite. So they recite, and after every verse, you're supposed to do a Namaskara. So like that 108 times. 108. I tell you, it's not. It's very difficult to do. 108. Okay, after 10, 12, 14, 15, you start feeling it. So he says 1,000. So 1,000 means you just say verbally. So 1,000 namaskars to you. In your mind you do 1,000, but he's not satisfied. Even after 1,000 namaskars he's not satisfied. What is he going to do? So he says some more again. He repeats himself. So he just repeats himself. He says, Bhuyopi Punascha Namo Namaste. That's all I can do. Namah Purastad Aprishthataste Namostute Sarvata Eva Sarva Anantavirya Anantavirya Mitavikramaswam Sarvam Samapnoshi Tatosi Sarvaha. So now don't forget this in Namaskar also to Bhagavan. So Namaskar Bhagavan is not just for us in the front. That's why he is Sarvataha. He's everywhere I see you. So where am I going to salute? Where am I going to do Namaskara? So he says Namaha Purastha in front. Purastha Pura is east, either east or in front. So either in the front and back. So in the east, in the west. Namostute Sarvataha. Sarvataha. Eva Sarva. Eva Sarva. Hey Sarva. This is Sambuddhi. So Hey Sarva, the one who is all pervasive. Sarvasthitaya. So the one who is sitting here, where do I prostrate to Bhagavan? He is everywhere. So what is that? Kidrishosi Maheshwara. Tava Tattvam na janami. Kidrishosi Maheshwara. So Yadrishosi Mahadeva. Tadrishaya Namo Namo. So it says, Tava Tattvam na janami. I do not know your Tattvam, your Swarupam, I don't know. Kidrishosi, where are you? Which direction are you? If I have to do Namaskara to you, which direction are you? It says, Yadrishosi Maha. Whichever direction you are, Tadrishaya. So, Namo Namaha. So, I'm doing salutation here. You go to the temples, all very particular. Should I do east? Should I do west? Should I north, south? All these things you're so conscious of. But then at the same time, one has to know that really speaking, it is not just east or west. He says, whichever direction you are, finally, he says that because really speaking, there is no direction. One is everywhere. So, if I have to do namaskar, I have to do in all directions. In fact, they do. So in all directions you do. In the native tradition, they do this. So they will turn to the east and they turn to the west. I mean, they turn not east west. They just turn in a clockwise direction in each direction, and they thank Bhagavan. So like that. So either you do that, or I turn in all directions, or I go around the deity, etc. It all means the same thing. So he says, Hey Sarva, the one who is so abiding everywhere, who's Ananta Viryam, who has infinite Viryam. Viryam is capacity, Samarthyam, or strength. He says Amitam, whose strength is immeasurable. Not only that, Vikramaha, your Vikrama. That means you're the one who conquers everything. Means nobody can conquer you. Sarve samapnoshi. You're the one who vyapnoshi. You pervade everything, and therefore you are Sarvaha, Sarvarupaha. Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam. He Krishna, He Yadav, He Sakheti. Janata Mahimanam Tadev Taveda Tavedam Maya Pramadat Pranayena Vapi. So Sakha iti matva prasabham yaduktam. He Krishna, He Yadava, He Sakha iti. Ajanata Mahimanam Tava idam maya pramadat pranayena vapi. So he says, Sakha, Ajanata Mahimanam Tava, not knowing your greatness. Now he says, so he realizes after doing so many namaskars, etc. So he realizes, it's not just I'm showing him respect, but I should ask for some kshama, like kshama prarthana. This is so because I said so many things to you, so not realizing who you were, not recognizing your greatness. He says, Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava, like that I called out to you. So I called out to him, he's known him for a long time. And then I behaved in certain way which may have looked disrespectful. Pramada, due to ignorance. Due to ignorance or due to pranayena means due to familiarity. Due to informality, I may have done some acts of omission or commission. So he says, for which he asks for kshama. Yachavaha sartham asatkritosi vihara shayyasana bhojaneshu eko tavapyachyut tat samaksham takshamaye tvam aham aprameyam. So yacha avahasartam asakritaha asi. So for in jest also in jest I may have the tvam asatkritaha asi. So there's no satkara, so I was disrespectful in jestfully, without realizing I may have treated you without respect. So in different situations, he says, vihara shayasana bhojaneshu. So in sport or in play or in resting, etc., sitting, eating, etc., ekaha athava apyuchata, ekava athava tat samaksham. So it means in your presence. Okay. So in your presence, I may have been disrespectful, and also in your absence. See, these are two different things. Sometimes we ask for kshama for things that we do. So when we are caught, there are different ways. So either once you're caught, then I have no choice. So then I ask for kshama. Or sometimes you realize something. So you ask for kshama in the absence. But there are things which we do in the absence also. So behind the person's back, I may say things about the person, etc. That is more. We forget to ask kshama for that. So there are days. In Jewish tradition they will call. So once a day, there is a day, once a year, sorry, Yom Kippur, I think. In Yom Kippur, they'll call people actually. They'll call people and they will ask for forgiveness for so things that they may or may not have done for them. They will ask like they won't start a description of all the bad things they do. Then again generates more problem. But really speaking, but this is a beautiful custom, They call and they actually do that. We should learn some of these things from other traditions. Jainas, in Jain tradition also is there. On this particular day they will do.
Even Christianity is there, right?
Yeah, they also they have. Yeah, their confession is different. Yeah, no, they. I don't know what in Lent. What do they do? Oh, they give. Anyway, in any case, so there's some of the beautiful traditions are there. So we don't pick up and ask because we don't make any mistakes. We don't ask anybody forgiveness for anything because we don't do anything wrong. So hey achyuta, so that kshamaye tvam aham aprameyam. So to one who cannot be described, please forgive all these omissions and commissions. So then 42, he continues to praise him, continues to pray, you all everything, you are unequaled, etc. So slowly he relaxes. As he relaxes, his fear goes away. He continues to praise him more and more. So then Bhagavan finally says, so he says, I reveal to you this Vishwarupam, a form which even the gods seek to see, and they don't see this in this manner. In this manner, they don't see. He says, don't be fearful, and then he wants him to see back to the original form. He wants Sri Krishna to come back to the because that's the form that he can relate to really. So he comes back to the original form. So I just will conclude this also. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sudarshan 52 Sudarshanam idam rupam दृष्ट्वा नसि यन्मम देवाप्यस्य रूपस्य नित्यं दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणः. So Sudarshanam idam rupam drishtavanasi yat mama. So you are desirous of seeing this Sudarshanam rupam of mine. Is easy to form. He says this. Oh, you have seen this rupam, which devaha api asya rupyasya darshana kakshina. Even the gods themselves are desired to see this particular form. It's not easy. It is difficult to see because naham vedaina tapasa nadanena cha chejaya shak शक्य एवं विधो द्रष्टुम दृष्टवानसि मां यथा भक्त्या त्वनन्यया अन्यः भक्त्या त्वनन्यया शक्यः ह्यहमेवं विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं दृष्टं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. So he says, Naham Vedaihi na tapasa na danena cha ijjaya drishtum shakya evam vida. So he says, evam vida, in this manner, it is not possible to see me. In Vishwarupam, it is not possible to see. So Bhagavan, really speaking, even though Bhagavan is all this, in all this form, not by Vedaihi, not by all the recitation, just by recitation of the Vedas, it's not possible. By tapas, by intense penance, etc., or by giving charity, jaya, yajnas, and pujas, etc., it is not possible to see me like this. Whereas he says, Ananyaya Bhaktya Shakya. Ananya Bhakti. So by devotion in recognizing me as someone not other than yourself, Anyam, that which is not other than you, Means as a very essence of your being. If you recognize me, then you recognize me as the essence of all beings. Aham evam vidaha shakya. Okay. Jnatum. Hey Arjuna, he says drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha. He says not only is possible to see me, to know me, to recognize me, and also praveshtu means to be one with me, etc. So like the ocean, like the wave becomes one with the ocean, so also you are able to be that way. Mat karma krit mat paramaha mat bhakta sanga varjitaha निर्भैर सर्वभूतेषु समामेति पांडव. So mat karma krit, the one who does all karma, all one's actions, recognizing me as the one who's behind. So the karma phalam data is the one who gives the results of the action. Kayena vacha manasendriyairva. So yad yad karomi tattat, so narayanaya, etc. So this particular attitude, whatever I does, there is the hand of so Bhagavan in all of this. Such a person is called as mat karma kriti, mat paramaha. So for whom mat, I am the paramagati, I am the ultimate end, in the sense not the one who seeks other things, but the one who seeks so me, the basis of everything, as the main end in life. Mad bhaktaha, the one who is devoted. Sangha varjitaha, the one who is not atisneha, excessively attached to what? Putram, dhanam, putram, mitra, kalatra, bandhu, etc. is called asangaha. Then nirvairaha, the one who is sarvabhuteshu, the one who is not inimical towards all other beings, etc. Samameti is the one who achieves the oneness with me. So, having said all this, with this he concludes this chapter. You know, it's really amazing to think that. So he says, in Gita Dhyanam, he says, so Arjuna. So Arjuna is the. You just imagine there is really no other tradition talks about Bhagavan is in this form, Vishwarupam. See, this Vishwarupam as the Vishwam itself as being Bhagavan, you know, it's not pantheism, you know. It is a certain way of looking at the Lord as the one that not only sustains, but there is nothing, Sattas, the one that gives the very existence, the basis to this whole universe is Bhagavan. So this is not something which is really indicated that easily. And if you think about it, this is not something one can just come conclude like this. As a human being. When we live, people live in this world. Imagine if this was not mentioned in the Shastra, you know, this particular teaching was not mentioned in the Shastra. You think one would really think of it in this way of Bhagavan? No, I don't think so. Not that easy. So here, so in a way, so Bhagavan, this Arjuna, so we all become the beneficiaries of this. So even for Arjuna, so he gets to see this Vishwarupam, and then few other people, Sanjaya, etc. But then, so it is mentioned in the Gita. But really speaking, if this wasn't there, we would have all different understandings of Bhagavan. But this Vishwarupam is something which is not just easy to just come to this particular conclusion. Really, that's the amazing thing. Even it is said, Purusha Suktam, Vedas talk about it as Purusha Suktam, Purusha, etc. But this is different, this is the whole Purusha that is described in Purusha Sukta is presented like this, in this darshanam, in the form that Arjuna experiences. And really, so through him, we also experience this. So, now, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Guru Hari Om